Peace and love, families. The Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. Umar Johnson. 14-hour flight. We here, Tokyo, the Empire of Japan. First time ever for the Prince of Pan-Africanism. To all my brothers and sisters here in Tokyo, I'm gonna be speaking here Saturday night. So make sure you come on out. If you need the information, you can inbox me or email me, drumarjohnson.com. You can add me on WhatsApp, 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. So it's the afternoon here, about 3 o'clock. I don't know what time it is back on the East Coast. You feel me? But I'm looking forward to the visit. So we got Tokyo Saturday, and then Sunday I'll be down in Nagoya, and then Tuesday I'm gonna fly on over to China. So we here, Asia, Ifatunde. Let's get it. I had that first class upgrade on that flight, so that was excellent. I was able to lay all the way down and go to sleep like a bed. One of the what do they call them? Stewardesses, flight attendants. She asked me if I was a musician, a singer. I guess she was asking me if I was a rapper because she wanted to know how this young black guy is in first class, a $7,000 seat with jeans and Timbs on. So that was real interesting. So when I told her I was a psychologist, she was like, you know, she thought I was a rapper. I guess they're used to seeing rappers in first class, but not the activists. So interesting. And then the Japanese TV, they just jumped me for an interview, walked up on me, asked me why I was here. So that's where we are. Brooklyn, June 2nd. I'm looking to see Manhattan, Staten Island, Queens, Bronx. Everybody out in Brooklyn. Detroit, the 9th and 10th. Minneapolis, the 14th. Seattle, the 17th. Washington, D.C., Power Talk, the 24th. So, this is going to be a real eye-opening experience over here. Ohio, we working on Columbus, Ohio. I ain't been there since 2012, 2013, so we're working on Columbus. It's funny, a lot of people was asking me, what am I doing coming to Asia? Thought it was a silly question. There's African people in every country. There's African people on every continent. So why wouldn't I come to Asia? I go to the UK. I go to Canada. Why wouldn't I come to Asia? Black folk here as well. We got to take the good gospel of Garveyism to the four corners of the earth. Well, As far as the Golden State San Antonio Spurs, that's over. After Kawhi Leonard got hurt, it's a wrap. I don't think San Antonio coming back from that. I also consider it to be a little fishy and suspicious that he would get hurt and go out like that. You know, almost got me thinking he was told to take a dive to make sure Golden State see Cleveland in the finals. So, well, since I'm waiting for my hostess, the good sister, to come, because we got here a little early. She wasn't expecting that. Neither was I. I'm going to go back to the good gospel of Garveyism a little bit. See, the one thing that you got to understand when you deal with Garvey in America, what's the timing that Messiah arrived, the timing that the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey showed up in America. Remember now, Frederick Douglass, the great ancestor, dies in 1895. Booker T dies in 1915. So Booker T dies 20 years after Douglass, right? So after Booker T transitions, W.E.B. Du Bois considers himself to be the next leader. And then Garvey shows up, and he's able to organize African people better than almost anyone ever in modern history. That makes the boy jealous. He gets very jealous, being the light-skinned supremacist that he was, okay, bragging about his French blood and British blood and all this other nonsense, and his degrees from Harvard and Berlin and all this crap. He felt because he had credentials from white folk that he had a right to lead. And that's always been a problem with us as African people, believing that since we have credentials from Europeans, that we have a right to lead. That doesn't give you a right to lead. The only thing that gives you a right to lead is your commitment to your people's freedom, okay? In your military intelligence, your economic intelligence, your strategic intelligence. That's what gives you the right to lead. So, the gun must be abused. I said the gun must be abused, huh? So, Garvey starts to organize. And what made Garvey so revolutionary at that time is the fact that we were only 50 years out of slavery. And being as though we were only 50 years out of slavery, we were still begging and hoping to be accepted into the American social order. Now, at this point, we had began to create some black Wall Streets, some independent communities. That's very true. But yet and still, we were still largely looking for a way into America. And when the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey shows up, he basically calls for an about face. He says, why are we looking to be included in America? We should be looking to create our own independent reality that we tie back to the soil of the African continent. So obviously, when Garvey got here, he was interested in meeting with W.E.B. Du Bois, so he took a visit to the NAACP office, and he said what he saw was somewhat frightening, because the NAACP office, according to Mr. Garvey, all of the employees therein were of a light-skinned supremacist complexion. And of course, within the philosophy of revolutionary Pan-Africanism, we don't take exception to any African. The first color on our flag is red. It's the blood that makes you African. But because we come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, any organization that claims to represent us should also have membership that come in all sizes, shapes, and colors. And so, Garvey goes to the NAACP office and he says that everyone working here appeared to be basically biracial. So he said, if this is the NAACP and you have all these black folks in Harlem and in New York City, why do you see so few of them represented there? And that's when Mr. Garvey started referring to the NAACP as the National Association for the Advancement of Certain People. Of certain people. Okay. So A. Philip Randolph, who was another leader who Garvey had sought out, they met, and I believe it was A. Philip Randolph who actually invited Mr. Garvey to speak at a platform that he was hosting for a particular cause or event. And so Garvey spoke there. So in the beginning, Randolph and Du Bois did not attack Garvey. It wasn't until they saw how successful he was organizing black folk. And that's when he became a significant threat to their HNIC agenda. I repeat, he became a significant threat to their HNIC agenda. Okay? But see, also, you got to keep in mind, around the time that the Honorable Marcus Garvey gets to New York City, the Communist International begins to take shape right around that 1916, 1917. So not only do you have integration being pushed by black leadership through the NAACP, A. Philip Randolph and others, and of course Randolph was a socialist, but you also have the Communist International. So you have the white communists coming into America looking to use the numerical and political strength of black people to achieve their own agenda. So Garvey threw a monkey wrench in the communist plan to co-opt the black community for their own political end. So they hated Garvey because they felt that had Garvey not been there, they think they would have done a much better job converting African people to communism. So, with that being said, two big major ideological struggles that took place between Garvey and the others. And the first was the struggle between Garvey's pan-nationalism and the NAACP's colorblind integrationism. I repeat, the first big ideological struggle was between Marcus Garvey's revolutionary Pan-African nationalism and the NAACP's aggressive integrationism. So that was ideological conflict number one. The other ideological conflict, once again, would be between the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey's